We are all familiar what tax is. Tax, ito na yung mga pera na kinakolek ng gobyerno sa mga tao para may sapat silang funds sa services like hospitals, schools, and roads. Kung walang tax, walang sapat na pera ang mga gobyerno para mapatakbo ang mga ito. Good day everyone! I am Siti Rehan Tabudlo, and the topic that I'll be discussing today is all about taxation in America. The American acquired the Philippines to make the economy self-sufficient. After the American defeated Spain in 1898, they took control of the Philippines. Their goal was to make the Philippines economy able to sustain itself without needing too much money from the US government. From 1898 to 1903, the American followed the Spanish system of taxation. So at first, the American didn't completely change the tax system kasi yung Spanish system was already in place. Mas mapapadali ang pag-collect nila ng mga pera pag ito ang ginamit nila. Kasi pag gumawa pa sila ng bagong system, magbaback to zero sila sa pag-weigh ng pag-collect ng mga pera. Then the government suspended the contract for the opium, lottery, and the mint charges for coinage of money. Under the Spanish time kasi, the government earned money from the selling opium or yung mga addicted drug na tinatax, lottery, and coinage of money. Means that every time na may new coins or pera na ginagawa, ay may extra cost ito sa mga tao. So when the American military government took over, they stopped this contract because they consider it as immoral and not practical. The Urbana tax was replaced by tax on real estate, which became known as the land tax. Land tax was levied on both urban and rural areas. The Urbana tax, or a tax on living people in urban areas or in cities and towns, was removed. They realized that this tax was unfair since it only targeted the city residents. So they replaced it as land tax, which applied to all properties, both in cities and rural areas. The only problem with land tax is that in rural areas, the documents were messy and without formal papers, making it hard to prove ownership. This caused confusion in who should pay taxes. Also, the wealthy landowners, they are avoiding paying taxes because they owned a huge land, meaning they would pay a large amount. So they used their influence to escape to their obligation for paying taxes to the government. The Internal Revenue Law of 1904 was passed as a reaction to the problems of collecting land tax. There are 10 major sources of revenue. First is firm dealing in alcohol, beverage, and tobacco, alcohol, beverage, and tobacco products, bank and bankers, document stamp, cedula, insurance and insurance companies, forest products, mining concession, business and manufacturing, and occupational licenses. This law was created because the government was having a hard time collecting land taxes. So instead of depending mainly on land taxes, the government decided to collect money from these 10 major sources. This made the tax system broader and more organized. In cedula tax, it was fixed for adult male, reducing revenues. So in 1907, some provinces doubled the fee to fund road construction and maintenance. Under the new law, the rate was fixed for adult male, meaning everyone paid the same, whether rich or poor, and the money collected from this increase was used for road construction and maintenance. This shows how the government adjusted taxes not only for revenue but also for public infrastructure projects. In industrial tax, it was levied on the business community and became a highly complex system. This tax was directed at the business community. It was a complicated system because each industry or commercial activity was assigned a tax based on its profitability. Naging komplikado ito kasi marami siyang rules, categories, at ang way ng pag-collect, which made it hard for the business community to understand and follow. In 1913, the Underwood-Simon Tariff Act was passed, resulting in a reduction in the revenue of the government like sugar, tobacco, hemp, and copra. Then Governor General Francis Burton Harrison urged that the tax receipt be increased to make up the loss. Noong 1913, ipinasok ang Underwood-Simmons Tariff Act na nagresult na pagbaba ng kita ng gobyerno. Bakit? Kasi tinanggal nila ang mga buwis sa mga products like sugar, tobacco, abaca, at copra, kaya nabawasan ang kita ng gobyerno. So para makabawi sa nawalang kita, si Governor General Francis Burton Harrison ay nagsuggest na dapat dagdagan ang mga tax collection. Para gawin ito, nagkaroon ng mga pagbabago sa 1904 Internal Revenue Act. Hindi naman sobrang laki ng pagbabago, pero may mga bagong ipinasa na buwis, like taxes sa mines, langis, gasolina at sa mga dealers. Ginawa nila ito para makabawi at masiguradong may sapat na pera ang gobyerno. Pagkatapos ng mga naunang buwis, nagdagdag pa ang gobyerno ng bagong source of tax. In 1914, an income tax was produced. Ito na yung pag-collect ng tax mula sa sahod ng mga tao. In 1919, inheritance tax was created. Ito naman ay buwis na binabayaran kapag may minanak ang ari-arian, lupa, pera o negosyo mula sa isang kamag-anak na namatay na. In 1932, a national lottery was established. Hindi ito buwis pero isang raffle o sugal na legal na pinapatakbo ng gobyerno. Ang parte ng pera ay magiging pondo ng gobyerno, habang may premyo namang makukuha ang nanalo. That's all for my part, and I hope you learned something from my topic.
Good day everyone, I am Zarina Ianyo Manginla and I will be discussing to you the taxation during the Commonwealth period. So ano nga ba ito? So noong panahon ng Commonwealth, year 1935 to 1946, sa ilalim ng pamahalaang itinatag ni Pangulong Manuel L. Quezon, nagsimula ang modernong sistema ng pagbubuwis sa Pilipinas. Layunin nitong bayaran ang mga proyekto ng pamahalaan at ihanda ang bansa sa pagiging ganap na malaya mula sa mga Estados Unidos. So before muna ako mag-proceed sa topic natin, ano ang taxation? So ang taxation ay yung practice ng pagkuha ng buwis mula sa mga mamamayan base sa kanilang kita at mga ari-arian. Yung nakokolektang pera ay ginagamit ng government para bayaran ang mga serbisyo tulad ng pulis, hukuman, military at paggawa ng mga kalsada. Sa madaling sabi, buwis ang nagbibigay bayaran para gumana ang gobyerno. Now, let us proceed to the main topic. During the year 1936 to 1940, new measures and legislation were introduced to make the taxation system appear more equitable during the Commonwealth. So, bakit sila nag-introduce ng panibagong measures and legislation? Nag-introduce sila ng new measures and legislation noong Commonwealth para gawing mas patas at makatarungan ang pagbubuwis. Noon kasi hindi pantay ang bigat ng buwis, yung mayayaman at malaking negosyo minsan ay hindi nabubuwisan ng tama, habang ang mga ordinaryong mamamayan ang mas naapektuhan, kaya gumawa ang gobyerno ng mga bagong batas para siguraduhin na lahat ay magbabayad ng buwis ayon sa kita nila at para magkaroon ng mas maayos at makatarungang sistema sa bansa. Income tax rates were increased in 1936, adding a surtax rate on individual net incomes of 10,000 pesos. Income tax rates of corporations were also increased. So, dinagdagan ng surtax rate ang mga taong may net income na 10,000 pesos. So, ibig sabihin, mas malaki ang kita, mas malaki rin ang buwis. Tumaas din ang income tax ng mga korporasyon para mas dagdagan ang pondo ng gobyerno. You might be wondering why it increased. So, tumaas ang income tax rates noong 1936 kasi kailangan ng gobyerno ng mas maraming pondo para suportahan ang mga proyekto at serbisyo ng bansa. Gusto rin nilang gawing mas patas ang sistema kung saan mas malaki ang ambag ng mayayamang individual at korporasyon kumpara sa mga karaniwang mamamayan. Sa ganitong paraan, natulungan nitong palakasin ang ekonomiya at handa ang Pilipinas sa pagiging ganap na malaya. In 1937, the cedula tax was abolished, which appeared to be a progressive move, but in 1940, a residence tax was imposed on every citizen aged 18 years old and on every corporation. Inabolish ang cedula tax noong 1937 dahil gusto ng gobyerno na alisin ang hindi patas at luma ng paraan ng pagbubuwis. Maraming tao noon ang nahihirapan magbayad ng sedula kahit maliit lang ang kita nila, kaya tinanggal ito bilang progressive move o hakbang para maging makatarungan ang sistema. Pero noong 1940, nag-impose sila ng residence tax para palitan ang nawalang kita ng gobyerno mula sa sedula at para mas organisado at patas ang pagbubuwis kung saan lahat ng 18 pataas at mga korporasyon ay may ambag pa rin sa pondo ng bansa. In 1939, the Commonwealth government drafted the National Internal Revenue Code, introducing major changes in the new tax system. So there are 6 changes in the new tax system. The first one is the normal tax of 3% and the surtax on income was replaced by a single tax at a progressive rate. Pinalitan nila ito para gawing mas simple at mas patas ang sistema ng pagbabayad ng tax. Sa halip na may hiwalay na normal tax at surtax, mas madali nang maintindihan at ipatupad ang isang tax na may progressive rate. Ginawa rin ito para mas malaki ang ambag ng mayayaman at mas magaan ang bayad para sa mga karaniwang mamamayan. Kaya mas makatarungan ang sistema ng pagbabayad ng tax. Second is, personal exemptions were reduced. Binawasan ang personal exemptions para mas makakolekta ng tax ang gobyerno. Ibig sabihin, mas maliit na parte lang ng kita ang hindi matatax, kaya mas maraming tax ang papasok. Ginawa ito para may pera ang gobyerno sa mga proyekto at pangangailangan ng bansa. Third, corporation income tax was slightly increased by introducing taxes on inherited estates or gifts donated in the name of dead persons. Tumaas ng konti ang corporation income tax dahil nagkaroon ng tax sa mga minanang ari-arian o regalo na ibinigay sa mga pangalan ng mga namatay na tao. Ginawa ito para madagdagan pa ang kita ng gobyerno at makasingil ng tax mula sa mga yaman na naipasa kahit wala na ang may-ari. Fourth, the cumulative sales tax was replaced by a single turnover tax of 10% on luxuries. Ibig sabihin, ang mga mamahaling produkto lang ang tinaksan ng mas mataas. Ginawa ito para makakuha ng mas maraming pera ang gobyerno nang hindi masyadong naapektuhan ang mga karaniwang mamamayan. Fifth, taxes on liquors, cigarettes, forestry products, and mining were increased. Ginawa ito para mas madagdagan ang kita ng gobyerno. Sa ganitong paraan, nagkaroon sila ng mas maraming pera para sa mga proyekto ng bansa. Lastly, dividends were made taxable. Ginawang may bayad sa tax ang dividends o yung kita na nakukuha ng tao sa negosyo o company shares. Ibig sabihin, kapag kumita ka mula sa isang negosyo, kailangan mong magbayad ng tax doon. So now let us proceed to the issues in the tax system. The introduced tax structure was an improvement of the earlier systems introduced by the Americans but still remained inequitable. Ang bagong tax structure na pinakilala ay mas maayos kumpara sa mga naunang sistema ng mga Amerikano. Pero hindi pa rin ito pantay o fair para sa lahat. Ibig sabihin, kahit may mga pagbabago, may mga tao pa rin na mas mabigat ang binabayarang tax kaysa sa iba. The lower class still felt the bulk of the burden of taxation, while the upper class, the landed elite, or the people in political positions were able to maneuver the situation that will benefit them more. So, ang mahihirap o lower class pa rin ang pinakamalaking naapektuhan sa pagbabayad ng tax, habang ang mga mayayaman, may lupa at nasa gobyerno ay nakakagawa ng paraan para mas makinabang sila. Ibig sabihin, hindi pa rin pantay ang sistema dahil mas nahihirapan ang mga ordinaryong tao. The agriculture sector was still taxed low to promote growth, but there was no incentive for industrial investment to take root and develop. mababa pa rin ang tax sa agriculture sector para mahikayat ang pag-unlad, pero walang tulong o reward para sa mga gustong mag-invest sa mga pabrika o industriya. Dahil dito, hindi masyadong umunlad ang industrial sector. Now, let us proceed to the common character of taxation. Finally, a common character of taxation during the American occupation in the Philippines was not used to diversify the economy or direct economic development, as some sectors still carried the disproportionate share of the tax burden. So, sa panahon ng mga Amerikano, hindi ginamit ng tax system para mapaunlad ang ekonomiya. May mga grupo pa rin na mas mabigat ang bayad sa tax kaysa sa iba, kaya hindi naging pantay ang sistema. Now we move forward to the taxation during the Japanese occupation, or World War II. As World War II reached the Philippine shores, economic activity was put to a stop and the Philippines bowed to a new set of administrators, the Japanese. Ibig sabihin, noong pumasok ang World War II sa Pilipinas, halos lahat ng gawain sa ekonomiya tulad ng kalakalan at trabaho ay huminto. Sinakop ng mga Hapon ang bansa, kaya sila ang nagkontrol sa pamahalaan at ekonomiya sa halip ng mga Pilipino. The Japanese military administration in the Philippines during the World War II immediately continued the system of tax collection introduced during the Commonwealth, but exempted the articles belonging to the Japanese Armed Forces. So sa panahon ng pananakop ng Japanese military sa World War II, ipinagpatuloy nila ang system ng tax na ginagamit noong Commonwealth period, pero hindi nila pinatawan ng tax ang mga gamit o produkto ng mga Japanese military, kaya sila ay exempted o hindi kasama sa pagbabayad ng mga tax. Foreign trade fell and the main sources of taxation came from amusements, manufactures, professions, and business license. So, ibig sabihin, noong panahon ng mga Hapon, mahina na ang kalakalan ng Pilipinas sa ibang bansa. Kaya doon na lang sila kumukuha ng tax sa mga negosyo, trabaho, pabrika, at mga aliwan. Ginawa ito para may pera pa rin ang gobyerno kahit mahirap ang kalagayan noon. As the war raged, tax collection was difficult task and additional incomes of the government were derived from the sales of the national sweepstakes and sale of government bonds. Dahil sa giyera, hirap ang gobyerno mangolekta ng tax, kaya kumita na lang sila sa national sweepstakes at sa pagbibenta ng government bonds. The expenditure of the Japanese military government grew greatly, and they issued military notes in order to cover the cost of the war. So lumaki ang gastos ng pamahalaang Hapon dahil sa digmaan. Kaya naglabas sila ng military money o perang Hapon para pantakip sa mga gastos ng giyera. So this is the end of my topic. I hope you understand the lesson and thank you for listening.